Welcome to the deep dive. Ever wondered how we can stop blockchains from being these kind of walled gardens? Get them actually talking to each other.
Yeah, that's a huge challenge.
Exactly. So today, we're diving deep into Polkadot. It's this technology aiming to, well, revolutionize the blockchain space using its parachain system. We've pulled together insights from quite a few places. Robots Rising for the big picture, Decrypt for news, Coin Codex for, the market side of things.
Right, the price action.
Wikipedia for basics, and then the really technical stuff from Polkadot's own dev docs and their OpenGov wiki.
Good mix.
Our mission. Really trying to get a clear picture of how Polkadot's, unique design tackles that crucial need for blockchain interoperability.
And what that could actually mean.
Yeah, what it means for everything from finance to maybe the future of the internet itself.
That's right. We're looking at something that's trying to be more than just another cryptocurrency. Polkadot's proposing a pretty fundamental shift in how blockchains can work together.
A more connected digital world, perhaps.
That's the vision, definitely.
Okay, so let's unpack this. I like the analogy from Robots Rising. They said, imagine a huge bustling city.
Overhead.
You got all these distinct neighborhoods, right? Each with its own vibe, its own purpose. But what makes the city really work?
The connections, the transport.
Exactly. It's a smart, efficient public transit system letting people and goods move easily between areas. That's kind of the core idea behind Polkadot and these parachains.
That's actually a fantastic way to grasp it. So Polkadot itself, that's the central transit hub, the relay chain.
The relay chain. Okay.
Think of it as the base layer, layer 0, providing the security and the overall coordination for all these connected chains.
And how does it keep things secure?
It uses something called nominated proof of stake, NPOS. It's actually derived from some of the same principles as Cardano's Ouroboros, interestingly enough.
Oh, okay. And then you have the parachains, the neighborhoods in our city analogy. What's special about them?
So parachains are basically independent layer 1 blockchains. They plug into this central relay chain.
Right.
But here's the really cool part. They're incredibly customizable. Developers can build them for very specific jobs.
So not one size fits all.
Exactly. Instead of trying to cram everything onto one chain, Polkadot lets you build these purpose-built chains. Maybe one for finance, one for healthcare data, one for tracking supply chains, like Robots Rising mentioned.
Okay, so each parachain can sort of set its own rules, but it's still part of this bigger network. What's the main advantage there?
Well, the huge win is they get to tap into the relay chain's security, that robust shared security.
Meaning they don't have to build their own security from scratch.
Precisely. They don't need to go through that really hard, expensive process of building their own trustworthy validator network. Plus, because they're all linked to that same hub, they can communicate, they can exchange information.
And that's the Internet of Blockchains idea.
That's where it really starts to come alive, yeah.
It sounds like they've even tried to make it easier for developers to build these things.
Yeah.
I read about something called Substrate.
Absolutely. Parity Technologies built Substrate. It's a toolkit specifically for creating these custom blockchains.
Yeah.
It's become really popular for parachain teams.
But it's not mandatory.
No, not strictly. The system's designed to be flexible. You could potentially use other frameworks too.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Because this whole setup seems to tackle those big problems we see elsewhere, right? Like congestion and high fees on single chains.
Exactly. Think about, say, Ethereum. Lots of apps, lots of transactions, all fighting for the same limited space.
Rush hour on a single highway.
Perfect analogy. Everything slows down, fees go way up. Polkadot's approach with multiple independent parachains, each with its own processing power, it's like building multiple highways.
Distributes the load.
Right. Keeps things flowing smoother, hopefully cheaper too.
And how many of these highways, these parachains, can connect? Is there a limit?
Currently, the architecture allows for around 100 parachain slots. But the long-term plan, the roadmap, talks about potentially expanding that significantly, maybe up to 1,000 eventually.
Wow, okay, so you have all these different chains secured by the relay chain.
Yeah.
How do they actually talk to each other? This XCM thing, cross-consensus message passing.
That's the one. XCMP is Polkadot's protocol, its language, for letting these separate parachains exchange messages and data.
And it's not just simple messages.
No, it can handle pretty much any kind of data transfer. Tokens moving between different DeFi apps, maybe a smart contract on one chain, triggering something on another. The possibilities are pretty broad.
And because they share that security layer, I assume the communication is fast.
That's a key benefit. Because they're all anchored to the relay chain's security, these cross-chain messages can typically go through in under a minute, much faster than older bridging methods.
Which often involve more waiting and maybe more risk.
Exactly. Shared security really streamlines things.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the main benefits of parachains. They get sovereignty, right? Their own rules.
Sovereignty.
They get shared security from the relay chain.
A huge one.
And they get interoperability. They can talk to each other.
Seamless data exchange within the ecosystem. It's a powerful mix.
It really is. That sovereignty lets them fine-tune for their purpose. The shared security lowers the barrier to entry.
Massively.
Yeah.
Especially for innovative projects.
And the interoperability. Well, that could unlock the next wave of dApps, couldn't it? Apps using strengths from multiple chains.
That's the potential, absolutely. Imagine apps that can just seamlessly pull features from different specialized blockchains.
Robots Rising gave some concrete examples. Let's touch on those. Finance was one.
Yeah, in finance, you could see smoother transactions, easier cross-border payments, different financial chains, maybe one for lending, one for stablecoins interacting directly.
Making moving assets feel like sending an email.
Kind of, yeah. Fast, easy, across different systems, that's the goal.
Healthcare was another big one they mentioned. Sounds amazing, but also sensitive data.
Definitely sensitive. The idea is managing patient data securely across maybe different specialized chains, one for records, one for pharma supply chains perhaps, but with strict privacy controls.
So only authorized people see what they need to see.
Exactly. It could mean more efficient data sharing for better care, better research, without compromising privacy.
And supply chain management. We hear about blockchain here a lot. What's Polkadot's angle?
Well, with parachains, different players in the chain manufacturers, shippers, retailers could each have their own tailored blockchain.
But all connected.
All connected via Polkadot, giving you this transparent, tamper-proof record of everything in real time, better tracking, more trust.
Okay, now Polkadot itself isn't static, right? They've been working on their governance, moving from governance V1 to
OpenGov.
That's right, OpenGov. The core idea is really to make decision-making more decentralized, more community-driven.
How so? What changed? Well, GovV1 had bodies like the Council and a technical committee with quite a bit of influence. OpenGov aims to spread that power out more directly to DOT token holders through, well, direct voting.
So the council is gone.
Correct. Dissolved. Its responsibilities are now meant to be handled more broadly by the community voting, and the technical committee evolved into the Polkadot Technical Fellowship, aiming for a more open group of experts.
And how does the voting actually work now? I saw terms like origins and tracks. Sounds complicated.
It has a few layers, yeah. Think of origins as different levels of, like, authority or privilege. Who can propose what?
Okay.
Each origin is linked to a track for proposals or referenda. The track defines the rules for that type of proposal.
Just
like how long voting lasts, how much DOT you need to deposit to even make the proposal, and what level of support it needs to pass.
So different hurdles for different things.
Exactly. A small proposal, like tipping someone, might use a small tipper track with low requirements. But a huge change to the core code, coming from the root origin, would have much stricter requirements, a longer process, different lanes for different decisions.
That makes sense. You want more scrutiny for bigger changes. What about the voting timeline itself? Lead-in period, decision period.
Right. So a proposal gets submitted, then there's a lead-in period. Time for everyone to look at it, discuss it.
Before voting starts.
Yeah. Then it hits the decision period. That's when DOT holders actually vote aye or nay.
And then?
For it to pass, it needs to meet specific approval and support levels for a certain confirmation period. If it clears those hurdles, it goes into an enactment period before the change actually happens on the network.
Okay. And I also saw voluntary locking or conviction voting. What's that about? Rewarding commitment.
Exactly. Conviction voting. It lets DOT holders boost their vote weight by locking their tokens up for longer.
The longer you lock, the more your vote counts.
Precisely. It gives more say to those with a longer-term stake, more conviction in the network's future.
And how do they figure out if a proposal passes? They changed how that works too, right? Something about adaptive quorum biasing being replaced.
Yes, that was replaced by the approval and support system. Approval is basically the percentage of yes votes weighted by that conviction locking.
Okay.
Compared to the total yes and no votes, also conviction weighted. Support is more about overall participation. It looks at the raw number of yes and abstain votes compared to all DOT tokens out there.
So it needs enough weighted yes votes and enough general participation.
Pretty much. Both approval and support need to hit certain levels defined by curves specific to that proposal's track.
Got it. Now, getting one of those 100-ish parachain slots sounds competitive. They use auctions.
That's right. Limited slots mean projects bid for them in auctions. Winners get to lease a slot for a set period.
What about projects that maybe don't have deep pockets? I heard about crowd loans.
Crowd loans are a really neat idea. They let the community support projects. People can temporarily lock their own DOT to back a project's auction bid.
So you lend your DOT to help them win.
Exactly. If the project wins the auction, your DOT helps secure their lease for a while. If they don't win, you get your DOT back automatically. It's a way for the community to vote with their tokens, essentially.
Cool. And Polkadot also have that experimental sibling network, Kusama.
Kusama, yeah. It's often called Polkadot's canary network.
Like a canary in a coal mine, testing things out.
Sort of. It's a fully live, independent blockchain using almost the same code as Polkadot, but things move faster there. Governance is quicker. Requirements are a bit looser.
So developers test risky ideas there first.
Often, yeah. Test new features, new parachains in a real-world economic environment before maybe deploying on Polkadot, which is seen as more stable, more production grade. It's not just a testnet, though. It has real value, real projects.
Okay. Looking ahead, there's a big upgrade planned for Polkadot itself, Jam-in. Join a cumulative machine.
Yes, Jam. That's a pretty significant proposed upgrade for the relay chain.
What's the main idea?
The goal is to make the relay chain more versatile. Right now, its main job is security and coordination for parachains. Jam would let it run more general services.
Services like what?
Could even include things like running smart contracts directly on the relay chain, potentially. While still supporting all the existing parachains built with Substrate, it makes the core network more flexible, more powerful.
But this isn't a done deal yet. It needs community approval.
Exactly. As of April 2025, Jam was still being discussed and voted on by the community. It was referendum 682, I believe. Shows how that OpenGov process works in practice.
Right. Community-driven evolution.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. The DOT token price, always a hot topic. CoinCodex gave us a snapshot. Early May 2025, DOT was around $4. What did their short-term tea leaves say?
Well, their analysis back then suggested a potential dip. They forecasted it might drop to around $3.42 by early June 2025.
So bearish sentiment from the indicator.
Yeah, the technical indicators leaned bearish at that moment. Although, interestingly, the overall market fear and greed index was showing greed 65. So a bit of a mixed signal there.
Markets are complex. What about holding a bit longer, say, into late 2025?
For November 2025, CoinCodex's prediction suggested a potential upside, maybe around a 22.50% return from that $4 price point.
And the range for 2025 overall?
They anticipated a trading range between maybe $2.70 on the low end and $4.90 on the high end, averaging around $3.65. That potential 22.5% ROI was based on hitting that upper $4.90 target.
Okay. Now, the longer-term view, 2026 to 2030, CoinCodex seemed, well, less optimistic.
That's fair to say. Their forecasts for those years were generally bearish, yeah. The algorithm projected mostly negative returns on investment based on the models they were using then.
Showing potential price ranges, but the trend was down.
The trend suggested by their technical models at that time was mostly downward, yes. But long-term crypto predictions are, notoriously difficult, very speculative.
And the technicals back in early May 2025 supported that caution, or sell signals.
Yes, their snapshot analysis on May 4th showed more technical indicators signaling sell than buy, suggesting a bearish outlook at that specific point in time.
So, for anyone dreaming of DOT hitting $100 or $1,000 anytime soon, what did the algorithm say?
According to CoinCodex's algorithm, then, no. It wasn't predicting those kinds of massive gains in the foreseeable future. The highest projection was at $4.90 by 2025.
A reality check, perhaps.
It highlights the gap that can exist between a project's technological vision and its market performance, which depends on so many factors.
And just looking back, historically, CoinCodex data showed it wasn't profitable to hold DOT over the last 3 years leading up to May 2025.
That's what their historical price data indicated at that time. Yes, negative returns over those periods. But again, past performance doesn't guarantee future results, especially in crypto.
Absolutely crucial point. None of this price stuff is financial advice. It's just information from one source for general context. You have to do your own research.
Definitely. Always. Consider your own situation, risk tolerance, maybe talk to a professional. These predictions are just one tool based on specific models.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. Polkadot. its whole relay chain and parachain architecture. It's a serious attempt to solve that blockchain communication problem, right? Getting different networks to cooperate securely.
It really is. It's aiming for an actual internet of blockchains, not just isolated chains, enabling them to work together efficiently.
And by offering this framework for specialized interconnected chains, the hope is to unlock potential across loads of industries: finance, healthcare, supply chains.
Exactly. Letting decentralized tech collaborate and scale in ways that maybe weren't possible before.
And it's not standing still. The tech evolves with things like the JAM proposal, and the governance evolves with OpenGov, pushing towards more community control.
That constant development and the focus on decentralized governance are key. They signal a commitment to long-term adaptation in this incredibly fast-moving Web3 space.
So here's the final thought to leave everyone with. As the blockchain world keeps growing, keeps fragmenting into more specialized chains, how vital will platforms like Polkadot actually be? Are they the necessary glue to make Web3 truly work, to realize that full potential of interconnected, decentralized tech?
It's a really important question, isn't it? If blockchains remain isolated, their impact might be limited. Interoperability, the kind Polkadot is aiming for, could be the key that unlocks truly groundbreaking applications we haven't even thought of yet.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. Makes you wonder how it might impact your own interests, where this is all heading.
For sure. It's a fascinating space to watch.